Let's pick up with where we left off postgame the other night, which is about this team coming together a little bit more as you see it. How does that manifest itself on the ice? When you see these guys in a tight room, how does that then manifest itself out on the ice?
So in order to win, what comes first? X's and O's or culture? And anybody that has been winning championships in the playoffs, it's all about the culture. And that's what we've been working on the whole year, accountability, setting a team identity. And we're seeing, and it takes time, right? It takes time to establish that. Are we there yet? No, we're not exactly where I want us to be, but we're getting there. We're closer. And because of that, the X's and O's are just a little bit better. So the last road trip was really good for us as far as how we're improving our game in general. But that's a byproduct of how the team is playing for each other. And the game in St. Louis saw tons of plays that were not necessarily beneficial for the individual, but was the right play for the team. And there's a huge difference. And same thing against Tampa Bay. So we got scored 2 on the power play, 2 on their power play. They're the number 1 in the league, 1 5-on-5 and 1 empty net. But our game in general, it was really good. The result wasn't there, but the process was right. The problem that game was we faced a pretty strong goaltender in Vasilevsky, but our scoring chances for our attack in the middle, we had more than the Tampa Bay. Our puck retrievals were better than Tampa Bay, so our 5-on-5 game was a real good hockey game. Now Tampa Bay has a real good team, and part of the reason they're a good team is their goalie, and he's part of the game. So, but the process was right, and we're improving in so many ways. When I see a game behind the bench, I only see what I see at that moment. So it's just human nature. I have 2 eyes like everybody else. But when you look back at the game, and when I watched it back, taking my time and trying to be as objective as I can be, and then when I get the stat sheets, and it's a pretty full package, everything is supporting what I saw, and it was a real solid game that we've played.
Johnny hinted that road trip in itself, we talk about this all the time, a team coming together on a road trip.
Yeah.
Did that 5-game road trip help you guys in that area? And again, how does that all transfer to the ice when it comes together?
It does help. I think it's supporting, and it gives us a chance to do a little bit more as a team. But without that team unity and that team concept, I mean, road trips are irrelevant. It's because the team is coming together that it's beneficial. And we can use those moments when we're away and on the road to do some sort of team activities and get together. But I see a team that is growing in the right way, a team that is getting closer, and I see the result of that is I see a team that is playing for each other. And by doing that, it's going to lead to success. Without it, you have no chance. You can have all the skills in the world. If you don't play the right way for each other at this level, you have no chance to win.
How much was Boone's return important to that? Because he always seems to play the right way.
Yeah, no, he's so consistent. I mean, he's even when he has an average game, according to Boone Jenner's game, it's still good. So having a presence, the minutes that he plays against the opponents, the quality of opponents, his ability to take face-offs and be reliable on face-offs, special teams, power play, PK, his presence around the team, his work ethic, and the way he plays the game is just, you can't replace those guys.
Getting back to that, that mentality of playing for each other.
Yeah.
The other night you mentioned that Johnny Gaudreau was right at the heart of a lot of that.
Yes.
Is that important? And if so, how important is that to have a guy with what he's done in the NHL lead the way that way?
Yes. A guy like him is huge. So the last game he had the most offensive driving plays of all 2 teams. He was offensively, he was the best player on the ice, and we saw it when Johnny moves his legs, when he's dynamic like he can be. That's his way of leading. But I'm seeing a guy So if people don't really know Johnny Gaudreau, they see him on the ice, but as a person, he's a quiet guy, low maintenance, like he does his stuff, and he's a great teammate. I know he is, but he's not necessarily vocal. He's not looking for attention. He's not a guy that wants to be necessarily in front of the cameras. He's not looking for it. He will do it, but he's more of a person that let me do my job and I'll do it the best I can. But what I'm seeing, my point to you is, I see a guy that is more vocal. I see a guy that is having more fun. I see a guy that is spending more time on the ice post practices. So he's becoming, and it takes time, he's becoming more and more of a true Blue Jacket. And because of that, I think, going back to the mindset, the culture, because of that, we see better plays on the ice. Now, having said that, I know some questions could come out of this, but we're building a team, and he's being part of that, and I think he'll be a big piece of what we're trying to do in the future.
One of the interesting things about that, or maybe the most interesting thing, is that by making the decision that he made to come here, he drew a lot of attention from the hockey world on himself. And it's the guy maybe who, like you said, that's maybe not his game, right, to have that. So, I mean, I know we're a year and a half into this, but, he spent his whole career in Calgary. Do you feel like, I mean, like you just mentioned it, so it's taken maybe just a while for him to feel like he's a true Blue Jacket, like you said.
Well, he is a Blue Jacket, and he was from day one, but to become a true Blue Jacket, like you bleed blue, that's what I'm talking about. And he got drafted in Calgary. He played in Calgary for, 10 years or so. He grew up as an NHL player in Calgary. It takes a little bit of time. Every time you make a trade, every time you have a new player that was a veteran somewhere else for such a long period, it takes a little bit of time for those people to become a true Blue Jacket. And I see that it's coming this way. And I know he wanted to play for us. He chose us. But now it's beyond. And there's no real explanation more than he's a Blue Jacket.
Yeah. With the penalty kill, I know it continues to struggle, and this is probably the worst time to ask it about it after you face Tampa.
That's another good question.
I was going to say, I mean, they're the number one in the league.
No.
But I guess when I look at it, I wonder, is it more important to stick with what you want, but like what the plan is, what you want to do, or is it more important to keep tweaking things until something works?
Yeah, no. So I have been in the hockey for 30 years, and if you're too stubborn to adjust and tweak, there's no way you're going to sustain any kind of success. So our PK was really good early in the season. Now the other teams are getting paid, the coaches are getting paid as well, and they're studying how we play. And I always say that to the players and whoever, there's no perfect systems. So, but you always have to adjust to improve. It's never ending. Now, our PK was really good early in the season at taking seam passes away. That's the hardest play for a goalie. You have to protect your goalie on the penalty kill. He needs to know where the shots are coming from. And so we were really good at that. Now teams adjusted, and they found different ways. And now it's our turn to adjust and making sure that sometimes tweaking is simplifying, and I think that's where we're at right now.
One more for me. Kent Johnson has been a little quiet as far as production recently.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in his game? Are you seeing building blocks still kind of happening? Where's the confidence level as you see it with Kent?
Yeah. So younger players. The hardest thing to achieve in the NHL at this level, it's the best league in the world, and every night you're playing against the best players in the world. And a guy like Kent, he's playing against older players that are the best in the world. And so consistency is the hardest thing. And you see Kent on the power play every time, and we're going to keep pushing that. He plays with Voronkov and Marchenko, so sometimes they're facing a top or a second line. But more importantly, he's facing a top pairing or a second pairing of defensemen. And so he's facing hard opponents. But we believe in Kent. We did since day one. We know he's got elite skills. We know his mindset is right, but the inconsistency is not because he doesn't try as hard. It's because of his age, and it's a learning path, and it takes time to become consistent, like Boone Jenner, for example. And obviously, he's a different player, but I think it's just part of the growth, and we're going to keep working with him and keep coaching him and keep pushing him, and this summer, the upcoming summer, will be a big one for him.
Is he still getting challenged in the weight room, like in season, or is that something that maybe off season?
So that was part of the reason why we sent him to Cleveland. It's because the schedule is different, and he can spend more time in the weight room.
Thanks, Patty.
Lineup?
Right.
Any changes?
Well, Chinnikov is out, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
Bemstrom is in.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, then,
Elvis, Daniel is in the net.
Daniel's
Okay.
in.
Yeah.